Despite being the best region in the world, America's super teams have normally been doomed to either failure or being underwhelming. Notably, the 2024 NRG roster with Demon 1 that was supposed to be a super team crashed and burned, with several of those players not being involved in Valorant at all anymore at the pro level. Now, while G2 with Jogamo has had success in Americas, they were billed as a super team capable of winning internationals, and they have definitely not done that yet. With all this said, though, MIBR look like a true contender at having international success and dominating Americas for years to come if they can keep this core together. We're going to take a look at their game against Envy and see just how well they look like they can actually do internationally. Keep in mind, this is a real super team with the best player in the world and players that are, at the very least, top 5 in Americas at every single role. There are no weak links on this roster, so let's get into it. It would mean a ton to me if you would subscribe. I'm trying to hit 10K before my birthday in 2 months. That would, again, mean the world to me. So let's get into it after hitting that subscribe button. The main thing that I want to touch on here is Envy have defaulted this orb, well, Inspire specifically has defaulted this Viper orb. He used a mid orb that I liked a little bit more, but I digress. Anyways, the point of this orb, because it was confusing some people, is really simply explained right here, which is it denies the vision of MIBR to be main. So they don't know if someone's tucked on this side because of this orb. So watch what happens right here. Orb goes up. Kesnet takes this. Obviously the smoke would have done this regardless, but just for in future rounds where they don't smoke that, the orb goes up and the drone re-clear is kind of forced out because now they don't know where Kesnet is. He could have stuck around. They have no idea of the visibility. Again, it's kind of redundant with the smoke on that round specifically, but now you can do that any round without having to worry about them smoking it off. Now, I also want to talk about the greatest player of all time in Aspas. He hits a just beautiful, I'll let it play out. It's just beautiful movement. And I wanted to talk to you guys about who you genuinely think is a generational player. This term gets thrown a lot around a lot in actual sports. So I wanted to see who you guys think is actually, like, obviously generational isn't a term that will apply here. And even in sports, it's not used properly. But with Valorant, it's a lot different. So who's a player who you think is transcendent? Aspas is obviously on the list. I'm really curious. Comment below, like, who you think is actually on that generational, like the Valorant Mount Rushmore, who those players, how many it would be, who would be, all that. Comment below. I'm really interested to see, but let's move on. While you're commenting, tell me how to get my hair to stop looking like a mohawk. Bro, I just saw it. Like, I was watching myself back. It literally was like this. You guys didn't tell me, bro? I've got like 100 comments over the past 3 days. None of you are telling me that my hair looks like I have a mohawk. Regardless, I want to talk about the comp and then this orb here. So I like this mid orb. I think that mid pressure is something that's generally going to be really, really good for Abyss. One player in the way that people play this is they either have one player committed to mid or they have one player on each side for mid. I think this orb is just generally a really good idea to apply some of that mid pressure, but also the comp, right? This looks like it's coming out of 2024. You know it, I know it, but I actually like it because it's partly just comfort, but it's also partly, I think at least, a meta read. Yoru is going to get nerfed. We all know that that will be the case, and when that becomes the case, KO or other flash initiators will be almost forced to come back into the meta. They're running this KO here because, I think, obviously in part, let everyone play a comfort agent. We're putting Aspas on Jet. If you ever consider putting Aspas on Yoru, when you have Zekin, you need to be thrown somewhere. Get someone to throw you, because that's not happening. But playing to their comfort, and then also being aware of the fact that when the Yoru nerf happens, I think that you'll see like 100 Thieves are playing solo Waylay to be ahead of this. I think TMV mentioned that. And obviously, if you're going to be playing Jet regardless, this is a comp that works very well around the Jet, and also just future proofing, because this will probably be the meta once Yoru gets nerfed. So I really like this. They all play the, obviously Zekin went negative. That's not some big issue, right? Especially when a team like this is around you. You can have a bad game. Zekin has been using his utility on Astra very well. Also, it just looks cool body blocking him there, to be honest. I mean, like, the aura is off the charts. Unlike my mohawk hair that none of you told me about, bro. Speaking of mid, it actually loses MIBR the round here. I talked before about how you normally have one person dedicated to mid, or you have two people on the sides. In this case, on B, that person is the Cypher trip, then you have Cypher on this side, but he changed the orb up. So all of B is blocked off now, meaning this Sova has to just sit here and wait and wait and wait. They've applied that pressure, then you use this over on B, you throw this like tiny little fake, come back A, which makes them keep the B stack. Now, this is really important. This now means, because of the pressure in mid, right? Inspire has this. Sova has to be here, which means 3 plus 1 is, you guys guessed it, 4. I really hope you guessed it. Anyways, it means Zekken is on site alone on A, so once they actually do go for the execute, even though this Isobolt doesn't hit anyone, Zekken's forced to just get off the bomb site. He can't really do anything about 5 people, so he has to get off, forcing them into a retake. But that's not all. See, after they execute, the Isobolt doesn't hit anyone, blah, 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 they drone mid, going, okay, we do not want to get backstabbed by a lurk in the post plant. Then he lurks after the drone there. And by the way, popping out of Soul, I don't really agree with how he used it because I'm, a traditionalist when it comes to Soul. You better wait till that tap. No, he used it proactively, which I think is a very envy way to use it. But then Inspire with the lurk finishes it off. So the round that they do actually end up losing is because of mid, whether it be the pressure that forced them to have Zekken solo on site or this lurk getting 2 here. But overall, awesome job. Again, I think mid on Abyss is still somehow more important than some teams make it out to be on defense. And look at how much respect MIBR have now started to give mid a couple of rounds later. You'll see here they have Astra sitting here, and importantly, they've made it so they can't get ran down with someone solo side again, 2-1-2ing this. But look at the Sova utility. The second Astra goes off immediately, Sova's droning the line. They're ready, willing to go ahead here and make sure that mid is a priority. Envy are literally just listening over here on B, making sure they're not pushing him, making sure they're not doing anything too crazy. Extra does get scanned by the knife, but I want you to watch because the KO utility ends up saving the round here for MIBR. They all group up over outside A here. Eggster is just, and I mean just, first of all, a flash for the love of the game. Beautiful. Second of all, Eggster right here. He's about to do his flash TP entry, all that. ISO's about to maybe get his ult online with Orb, although he didn't for some reason. I feel like, especially in ranked, I'm the only guy that prioritizes Orbs, and apparently that can also just extend to VCT because they just didn't care enough. They don't care. Regardless, he pops the ult right before Eggster's able to use the flash, meaning he just has to kind of jump out. Inspire's lurk gets shut down, and while Kesnet does kill Mazzino, the round is effectively over, right? So a great job prioritizing mid from them, but also that KO utility the whole round, scanning Eggster a little early so they know the site hit's probably here, the flash to give them the pause, and then the ult, perfect timing. And then I don't think there's a better encapsulation of MIBR than this. They ult, and then there's another 1v1 out of them, out of the ult. MIBR just won both of them. There's no need for anything more. Rossi tries, he might. He did have a cool clutch earlier that I didn't show, but he's not going to be able to clutch this one. MIBR take the round win again. Unrelated, but Inspire has a mental block against Aspas. I'm not one to make fun of a whiff. We've all been there, me more than most probably, but Aspas went 14-1 across the series against Inspire. That is by far the biggest just hard diff of the series. But yeah, in fairness, I think most of us would probably have a mental kind of block against Aspas, but that really showed up for Inspire. Envy have started to stack up some rounds, and on a save here, MIBR are expected to, and probably should lose this round. If they do, it'll be very interesting to see how the game goes out. But what I love from Envy is they're returning to their brawly roots, right? They played super defaulty on attack. On the last round, they tried to do some of their more quick-hitting, fighty stuff that made them such a good Abyss team in Tier 2 and Ascension, and even when they have played this in just every tournament, Fun Havers and all that type of stuff. But they didn't win that round, and with this brawl, they haven't caught anyone. In fact, MIBR got a wonderful timing off of a drone here. If we can look right here, the drone sees no one. MIBR have literally stayed in this area the entire time. The drone doesn't see anyone, and then they come up over towards A, but they should lose this round still. And in fact, it almost happens. You can see it's great attempts at stalling the plant, right? You combo the suppression and the Sova doesn't work. All right, next tap, we're going to ISO ult. Tap. In a second here, I promise. Tap, ISO ult, bang. Now we're going to shock dart, right? We're going to do all this stuff. And I thought it worked at first because the broadcast didn't pick up the fact that while all this was happening, Mazzino is still planting the spike. And then he has our biannual, hey, the Stinger gets a 5k and we have to pretend like it needs a nerf. It doesn't need a nerf. I don't know. I like the Stinger, but pro players are the best players in the game. I think that's obvious. And when you give them a gun, they can make it look broken no matter what. And so I think that when this type of clip happens, which it does every couple weeks, something like this happens, people need to stop going, oh, nerf the Stinger, nerf the Stinger. I don't know. I like it. I don't think it needs a nerf. Regardless of my personal opinions, Inspire and Zekken in a 1v1, and I do want to talk about Zekken. I think a lot of people, because he performed poorly the first time, are like, oh, he's a fraud, he's whatever. Dude, you guys have no idea how difficult it was when he was on Sentinels as he clutches this round, like having to pretend like he's not an elite player. No, this guy's great. Give him a little time to go into the system. He also didn't need to do that much this game. They were avoiding him a lot of the time, but give him a little time. I promise he'll be as advertised as MIBR take the round. And to finish off the game, MIBR literally just, like, super team them. They fight into a stack of 4, get Sova ulted, and come out with 2 people dying and just dominating the rest of MB. Just true super team material. That's going to be all from me for today. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an upload. Join the Discord server. I'm thinking of making a Minecraft server, so if you want to have your input there, go ahead, link in the description. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. Peace.